An actor's life is often exciting, but with notoriously unpredictable work, it can be frightening. The Screen Actors Guild Foundation is a non-profit organization dedicated to providing free programs that assist, educate, and inspire actors.
In its commitment to inspire, the Screen Actors Guild Foundation has invested in an Actors Center. The center will provide editing facilities, computer terminals, a screening room, and more.
The Conversations program brings in well-known working actors to share their experiences in the industry. The Foundation films and archives these events to preserve the knowledge for years to come.
The Casting Access Project offers SAG members the opportunity to demystify the audition process and share their performances with casting directors.
The Life Raft program offers panel discussions with industry professionals on the business of acting. Knowledge is power.
The Foundation helps actors navigate an uncertain world with programs that give financial assistance to members of the Screen Actors Guild. Due to a rare and painful blood disease, Academy Award-nominated actress Susan Terrell had to have her legs amputated in April of 2000. With the help provided under the Foundation's Catastrophic Health Fund, Susan was able to walk again within 2 months. She has become an avid painter and a model builder.
The Foundation also encourages actors to give back to their communities by supporting educational, philanthropic, and outreach programs such as Book Pals, in which actors share the joy of the written word by reading aloud to children across the country. Storyline Online presents well-known actors reading children's literature on the internet.
The art of acting has a rich history, and the Screen Actors Guild Foundation is committed to preserving it. Learn about this inspiring history in the SAG documentary, Behind the Masks.
Attend a Foundation event, volunteer for our programs, make a tax-deductible donation, or join our Have a Seat campaign to support the state-of-the-art Actor Center. All these programs are presented at no cost to the actor. The Screen Actors Guild Foundation is solely supported through grants, donations, and corporate sponsorship. The Foundation remains independently committed to making the life of an actor a little less frightening and a lot more exciting.
Hi, I'm SAG Foundation President and SAG National Board Member, JoBeth Williams.
And I'm SAG Secretary-Treasurer Amy Aquino, along with SAG President Ken Howard.
It's our pleasure to extend a warm online welcome to the SAG membership joining us for this seminar. We're excited to bring you valuable business of acting knowledge in this Life Raft live stream event.
And remember, you're a part of this event. Anytime during the live program, you can email your questions to the moderator at liferaft@sagfoundation.org or tweet your questions using the hashtag LRLS. And let us know your first name and your city, too.
When you have finished viewing this Life Raft event, please make sure to fill out the anonymous online survey on the viewing page.
Your feedback is crucial to the growth of this innovative program.
Before we dive in, it's important to note that the SAG Foundation is a non-profit organization funded solely by grants and donations, not by guild membership dues.
So, if you would like to help support the Foundation's dedication to assisting, educating, and inspiring actors, go to the SAG Foundation website and click on the pink Donate Now button on the right-hand side of the page to make a tax-deductible gift.
Now, sit back, relax, and take notes.
And in case you miss anything, each live stream seminar will be archived in the SAG Foundation video gallery.
Thanks for joining us. The SAG Foundation
and the Screen Actors Guild are moving you full stream ahead.
Okay, here we go. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Simon Anthony Abufadel. I work in the Life Raft program with the Screen Actors Guild Foundation. We're very excited to bring you tonight the live stream premiere program series in partnership with the Screen Actors Guild and the SAG Foundation. So welcome tonight, and thank you for coming. Thank you. Thank you. I'd like to take a moment just to thank Milo Ironbear on staff with us, helping with the facilities and making this place wonderful and bringing you the technology, and the entire Screen Actors Guild staff, communications department, all of them for this partnership and the hard work that's been put in, and the SAG Foundation staff for all the hard work in this partnership. Yeah. I'd like to thank Seth Caskey, who's head of our online media, for bringing this program tons of notches up in caliber. Thank you so much, Seth Caskey, for your hard work. And our volunteers who help us run the cameras and help us run all these events tonight. We could not do it without our volunteers. Yeah. So, a quick disclaimer and we'll get going. The appearance of any speaker or reference to any particular information or source tonight does not necessarily imply an endorsement by SAG or the SAG Foundation. Neither SAG or the SAG Foundation is responsible necessarily for any information provided by the speakers referenced tonight. SAG and the SAG Foundation recommend that you seek your individual advice for a qualified professional of your choice on any matter that is important to you. So we need to say that is important. But having said that, we have a wonderful panel tonight that we enjoy and like very much. And I'd like to introduce Zino Macaluso, the National Director, Senior Counsel, Agency Relations for the Screen Actors Guild. Thank you, Zino. Come on out.
Hi, everybody. Everything I say tonight, I endorse. Good evening. I am Zino Macaluso. I'm your National Director and Senior Counsel for Agency Relations. I'm very pleased on behalf of the Screen Actors Guild and the Screen Actors Guild Foundation to welcome all of you here tonight to our first live stream informational seminar. I want to underscore just a couple of points before we begin. First, this evening is taking place by virtue of the generosity of the Screen Actors Guild Foundation and SAG as well. As you've been told, this is the first in our series of live stream events, and we are very happy to help inaugurate the program and welcome you all of you online for joining us as well. I want to take a moment to single out Marcia Smith, the Executive Director of the SAG Foundation, and her talented and patient staff, in particular Simon, who you've just heard from, for their unwavering support and concern for all SAG members everywhere. Please join me in thanking them tonight. All right, let's get to the introductions. So in no particular order, first up will be Lalaneya Filuk. Ms. Filuk is a former professional dancer and now a co-owner of the Bloc Talent Agency, an enormously successful boutique agency that specializes in professional dancers and choreographers with offices in Los Angeles, New York, and Atlanta. Ms. Filuk is originally from Canada, but moved to Los Angeles when she got on the professional scholarship program at Edge Performing Arts Center in Hollywood. She started working as an agent some 13 years ago and opened Bloc with her brother in 2000. Together they represent the top working dancers and choreographers in all areas of the entertainment industry and have talent that can be seen on tour with Madonna, Beyonce, Justin Timberlake, to name a few, as well as many commercial campaigns such as Apple iPod and The Gap, as well as recent films like Fame, Step Up, Michael Jackson's This Is It, and 9. Please welcome Lalaneya here tonight. Next up is Chaim Magnum from the Lemon Lime Agency. Mr. Magnum has been a leader in the commercials agency world for over 30 years. He's in fact one of the founders of Dragon Talent, a formerly franchised agency that focused on hip and cutting-edge talent. His latest venture is the Lemon Lime Agency, Talent with a Twist. Lemon Lime has maintained its street edge while adding a more accessible and wide-reaching talent base. For those of you who don't know, Chaim was also heavily involved in the negotiation of SAG's most recent commercials contract and proved to be an invaluable and inexhaustible resource to the union's negotiating committee. He gave freely of his own time to serve on that committee. Every performer who works the SAG commercials contract owes him a debt of gratitude. Chaim's clients have appeared regularly in iPod, Gap, Pepsi, Levi's, Verizon, and many other national and worldwide commercials. Mr. Magnum's attention to the most current trends in commercials, music, and art have made him one of today's most sought-after commercials agents. Please welcome Chaim here tonight. Yes, I apologize. Chaim is very, very young. I meant a decade, not 30 years. He's only 24. Next up is Gar Lester from the Gar Lester Agency. Born and raised in Detroit, Michigan, Mr. Lester graduated from San Diego State in 1978 with a degree in business administration. Building on his ability to sell absolutely anything to anyone, Gar ultimately turned his attention to talent representation, and SAG members are all the better for it. In Mr. Lester's typical style, he quickly made it his job to learn all aspects of the talent agency business and became a formidable force for SAG performers, as well as known agencies such as Commercials Unlimited, Barron Entertainment, and even as a managing partner at the Jack Lipman Agency. In 2007, Mr. Lester brought his considerable experience, talent, and industry savvy to his own agency, which has rapidly become one of SAG's most respected, independently owned agencies. As his own boss, Gar has the ability to run the kind of agency he wants to run in his own way, and it works very well indeed. Gar is truly a strong and effective advocate for all of those that he represents. Please welcome Gar here tonight. And I just want to say, I love Gar, but he writes a horrible, horrible resume. I had to rewrite the whole thing. So
he said 3 words or less.
it was possibly the worst resume I've ever read. Next up is Jaime Ferrar from JFA, the Jaime Ferrar Agency. Mr. Ferrar has been part of the entertainment industry for over 30 years. That's where the 30-year reference came. I apologize. Most of those years as a proud SAG member. He began his career as an actor, working alongside the likes of Jim Carrey, Martin Sheen, Doris Roberts, and Giovanni Ribisi, to name but a few. For many years, he also toured the country as the artistic director for Paul Morris Productions. Later, he became a board member for AFTRA and a chairperson for several SAG committees. He then changed hats, deciding to head the youth division for the Carlos Alvarado Agency and subsequently help guide the careers of such young talent as Chad Michael Murray and Ryan Carnes. In 2003, Mr. Ferrar decided to hang out his own shingle to represent actors of diverse backgrounds, specializing in Latino talent and bilingual talent. A few JFA credits include Iron Man 2, Valentine's Day, Aquila and the Bee, Fast and Furious, Bobby Z, Ladrón que roba ladrón, Weeds, Desperate Housewives, Criminal Minds, CSI Miami, My Name is Earl, and others too numerous to mention. Please welcome Jaime here tonight. And last but certainly not least, it's my pleasure to introduce Lisa Berman Lench from Berman Sachs. Ms. Berman is one of SAG's most recently franchised agencies, which is why I desperately wanted to get her on the panel tonight. She's a graduate of the Pepperdine University School of Law with a Bachelor of Arts in Classical Civilizations. Ms. Berman is both intelligent and business savvy beyond her years. She also once served as a distinguished member of the Screen Actors Guild legal staff, where she served as counsel for several years, and she knows where all my bodies are buried as well. In addition, Ms. Berman has experience as Assistant General Counsel for the Unified School District, as well as a Deputy City Attorney. She has a rich history of caring for, appreciating, and supporting the rights of performers. Performing is in her blood, being an actress herself when she was younger, which made her transition to agency all the more sweet for our members. In her short time in the franchised agency community, Lisa has seen her roster swell into a steady stable of loyal and working actors who continue to look to her for industry experience and uncanny career advice. In short, Lisa's clients book. Plan on seeing more of this extraordinarily talented and dedicated agent in the near future. Please welcome Lisa here tonight. Lisa, please don't talk about my personal life tonight. Thank you.
We all have a story.
So while we're waiting for your questions to come in, both from the audience here in Los Angeles and also online, I'll start you guys off with just some general topics. Let's talk about how you prefer the initial contact to go with a performer who wants to be represented by you. Do you like drop-ins? Do you like electronic submissions? How do you like to make first contact?
Well, mail is the easiest thing. I won't take electronic submissions, just afraid of a virus to my computer, which is my lifeline that has my accounting. And a drop-in, honestly, could just be at the wrong time of day. I might be busy and you might feel a little slighted, and what could have been a good match maybe gets off to a wrong start. So the best thing is by mail, picture, resume, and cover letter.
Yeah, ditto for that in a way. Our building was remodeled for 3 months, and we were literally one of the only offices in that section of the building. Very uncomfortable. We had a lot of, drop-offs. It was very uncomfortable. It was dangerous. So a lot of times the situation could be like that. Plus, it's always the wrong moment. I don't know why. You're always dropping someone, or somebody's dropping you, and somebody walks in, or you're pitching someone, and you finally got a hold of that casting director you've been trying to reach for hours and hours, for days and days. And here comes somebody dropping off a picture. And you don't want to show that face to that actor, especially one who's been an actor before, or discourage that. You guys have to do what you need to do to get an agent. But in all reality, you do have to have some boundaries and respect that. A lot of times the mail is the best. Electronic submissions, we all don't have a huge computer to take all these suggestions that you guys sent. So if you do electronic submissions for us, make them quick and short, nothing really, really big. So make sure that your picture's been adjusted so it doesn't take a whole lot of space. Okay? Thank you.
I only take electronic, so I guess I'm different. I do everything electronically, so I really want to see your pictures, how they're going to look to casting when I submit you. So, and I don't like to get hard copies, because I don't like to throw paper away, and So if you'll send me your picture and resume electronically, that's great. I like to get my demos with an electronic link as well. So I don't want any hard copies at all. So you can email me always. Our email is bookme, BOOKME, @bermansachs.com. So.
I'm the same. We don't take any hard copy photos in our office at all. We do everything electronic. We are basically a paperless agency, so we don't even have one single 8x10 headshot of any of the actors we represent in the office. So we do prefer that everybody email their photos. If you do have to mail the hard copy, send it in the envelope that has the clear front, so that way we can quickly look at it and decide if we do want to contact you. When we do get the emailed submissions, we do ask that you don't put any attachments. You just put a link to your IMDb page, your LA casting page, or your own website. That way we can easily sift through them. And as far as stopping by, we prefer that people don't stop by, but when people do have the guts to walk into an office without an appointment, we all are as very courteous as we can. We try to, give them a couple minutes, because...
And then you call security.
Well, to take a minute out of your day really is not going to slow you down or throw off your whole process. So I'm very understanding that it took a lot of guts to walk into my office and drop off the headshot. So I'm usually pretty attentive for as quick as I can be, and then go from there.
My agency obviously is a little different because we have a specialized group of talent. I will say that if a client of ours does walk someone in, we do take time out of our day to at least meet that person and potentially set them up for an appointment. So in other words, we kind of honor, we have a very close feel with the clients we currently represent. And so if they bring a friend in that's new from out of town, just to keep, good relationships going with our own clients, we do, try and make a little exception and meet their friend and maybe give them a little advice if we're not ready to really quite represent them. Because we're specialized, we actually do open all of our submissions. We can go through them really quickly because we're looking for really specific things. Professional dance ability. And last but not least, we do like to look at footage, dance footage, but never DVDs anymore. They just sit on the desk and collect dust. So if you can do it through an online link, or just tell us what you have on YouTube and send it over. And maybe that's even more the case with actors, I would think, as well, too. The DVD thing, kind of, for me personally, yeah, they just kind of accumulate over on the side of my desk. And I think that the quick links are better.
I actually want to build on a point that you just made about someone else bringing in a client to meet with you. The Screen Actors Guild has 120,000 or so performers across the country, 65,000 of whom are in Los Angeles, although it seems like more. Right? Yeah. And some of them are quite desperate to get an agent to represent them, and particularly for you because it's a very specialized field, so they all want to get in to see you. A lot of them simply do these hard mails. They send to everybody on the franchised agency list, hoping that someone will call them in. Can you talk about those expectations? Because people, no matter how often we say it, people still think that's effective. The truth is, at least in Hollywood, and I'm sure it's this way around the country, that the best way to get an agent is by a referral from either a professional in the industry or someone who's already your client. So can you talk a little bit about that and what their expectations are if they're simply cold mailing you?
I'll just start. I don't like it when I get hard copies that have the standard label on it, and I know that it's not being addressed to me, like the actor hasn't researched my company or anything and doesn't really want to work with me. They just are trying to get anyone, which I completely understand, but I only actually call in people that have researched my company and actually want to work with me. So I sometimes, when I get even the emails that say, sometimes it'll say undisclosed recipients, because you've gotten everybody from IMDb. I don't really pay that much attention to those. I mean, I look at every single thing that comes across my desk, of course, but that's not what I'm thinking about when I see that kind of thing. I'm actually looking for something that says, hi, Lisa, I've met some of your clients at auditions or whatever. I want to be a Besta. We call ourselves Besta. And, that's the kind of thing that I'll pay attention to, someone who's done some research on me and would actually like to be with me, not just wants to be with anybody. So that's what I look for.
We'll go in a row. Basically, for me, I think it's the game of chance. We're in that type of business, so a lot of times the investment in doing that, putting a bulk of mail out there, sometimes it gets you something. It's not specific, so I agree that the more research you do on the company, the better you address that note, the better. So it becomes personal. So we understand that you also did your legwork on the industry and my business and how long I've been around. My name is Jaime, it's not Jamie. I get a lot of mail addressed to, Dear Miss Jaime Ferrar. Obviously, then that doesn't sit well. So therefore, I recommend, nowadays with the computer, you can Google anybody, you can find out more information. Not everything is true. But at the same time, there's stuff in there that's not true. But for the most part, it's information, so you need to inform yourself. This is a career. You do need to develop a craft, so you need to understand who we are, what we're about. We're specific too, so we do like to sort of kind of go through everything, because going through everything, we do discover that individual that maybe has not had any experience, but is that link to what it is that's missing out there, and that we can help them develop their career.
I send him like 3 or 4 Dear Miss Jamie letters every month. So I'm going to take both of their responses real quick, because it is your business. You're self-employed and you have to market whatever way you feel is going to be best for you. Those submission houses, I'm not sure what they are, that give you that generic letter, say we'll do it for you and we'll send it out to all of the agencies. When I see Dear Mr. Gar Lester, generally, that gets in the secondary or third pile. The reason I want a hard copy, I guess if somebody sent a link and things like that, I'm just nervous about these big files that come over. I want to see the cover letter. We were just talking in the back a little bit about these either great cover letters we get or these, very hysterical or generic or ones that scare, but it gives us a little idea about your personality. The 3-page cover letter to me spells high maintenance. The 3-sentence means I'm not sure I care. That generic one says you didn't do your homework about me. So it's kind of a sum of the three for me. It's a hard copy picture, so I can look at it, kind of see what goes with me. Resume, may be important. Cover letter, say, wow, this person really impressed me. I do want to talk about that referral for a second. If a client is happy with the agency and they feel comfortable enough to bring somebody else in to meet with me, they get first priority because I think that that's wonderful. If they like their agency enough that they would refer a friend and put their name on it, I think that's wonderful. Basically, you need a manager or a referral to get in the agency because then I have a built-in trust level. It's the easiest client to take. That's how I feel about it. But you've got to be able to show your personality when you're submitting. If you have those generic letters, it tells me you're not interested. You're going to be the kind of person my agent needs to do all of my work. And so that's kind of my guideline. That's how I work.
So can I just ask very briefly, so a casting director that you've worked with, a director that you know, a producer that's done SAG work, a fellow performer who's represented by the agency, these would be the kinds of referrals that you're talking about.
Yeah, and don't lie. Please. Yeah. Oh my God. I mean, I get such and such director thought I would be a good fit for your agency, and I'll bring that person in and say, well, let's call that person now, because they don't know me from Adam. So don't lie. Don't put requested material or industry referral. But we know better. Be honest. That's the most important thing.
I agree. The referral for me is the most important way that I meet my new clients. I rep about 200 people, and they always have friends that are looking for an agent, and those are typically the ones that I will take the meetings with first. My agency is very specific. We're very image-driven. So if I know somebody I represent has a friend, they probably have the same type of interest, and they're going to probably be a good fit for my agency. So a lot of my clients walk people into the agency quite often, and those are usually the ones that I take a look at first. Also, getting referrals from casting directors is another great way for me, but I don't like when an actor says, oh, so-and-so referred me to you. Well, she really didn't, because she would have picked up the phone and called me, because I get those calls several times during the week. A casting director will have somebody, and then I will give them my personal email box, because we do have a main submission box, which is new faces at lemonlimeagency.com, and we go through that periodically. But if somebody emails me directly, then they're going to get a little bit quicker attention, and I will be able to decide whether we're going to take a meeting or not. One of my pet peeves is when actors get my email address off of the IMDb and then email me there, because that's not how we accept submissions. So typically, I won't even open it. I'll delete it, to be honest with you. And cover letters, I don't think I've ever read a cover letter in the 14 years I've been an agent. I don't think it's necessary. We all know why you're mailing your photo, or at least I know why you're mailing me your photo. You're looking for an agent, you think you're marketable, you think you have what it takes. So I don't need to read 2 sentences or 2 pages. I go straight for the photo and resume, and then make my choices after that.
Yeah, just to summarize, I think a combination of what he said. Usually we really know what we're looking for right away, but as Lisa mentioned before, if you know something about my company, I represent choreographers, artistic directors, people who have worked in different projects. If you know something about any of the projects my agency's been involved in, that means you've done your research, and that, that puts you ahead in the pile of people that I would definitely be interested in at least meeting for possible representation. So.
Great. I'd like to talk briefly about timetables. It used to be that the industry had 2 pilot seasons, one in the spring or winter, and one later on in the year, but that's being erased by the constant production schedule, whether it's basic cable or television. Is there a time period that's better than another for an actor to submit for representation? Obviously, the height of a traditional pilot season would not be a good idea. So I wanted to know from you all, is there a particular time period where there's either a lull or you'd be more receptive to an application for representation?
I'm going to pass this on to my particular agency, we actually, because we're involved in every area of the industry, we don't really have particular times where things are slow or things are particularly busy. It's steady all year round. And that's simply because what we do is involved in the music industry, commercials, television, film, music videos, industrials, so anything involving dance we're involved in. So for us it's not as seasonal, but I'd be curious to hear what these guys have to say. So.
Well, my company is a boutique agency, but we do represent commercial and theatrical. In the commercial area, obviously there's no pilot season. So if you're looking for representation commercially, at least through my company, you can contact us year-round. We do tend to be busy other times, usually when upfronts are happening and the ad agencies are doing their end of the year thing. Usually for the ad agencies, it's always slow between the month of May through July. That's my experience. So those are good months to look for a commercial agent. Now theatrically, that's about the same thing still. I think we still slow down towards the end of April and go through a little bit of a slowness because people do tend to go on vacation and stuff like that through the month of July. And those are the best times to get an agent theatrically. Otherwise, it's really, really tough. So we're still sort of in development there, Zino, and sort of adjusting ourselves to the way the breakdowns come in as well as the way the season is. It's a little bit still distorted. So therefore, it's hard to say, but April through July.
Again, I look at people all the time, so I don't have a time frame for me. Actually, if you'll just, when you send me emails, if you guys could send them after 4 o'clock, then I love you, because I'm working so hard right before that I beg my clients also when they want to talk to me about other things, just after 4 o'clock is perfect. But I find that for my theatrical people, it is slow in the summer. But I guess I'm really different. I hesitate to take more people on when it's slow because they're going to really complain that they're not getting out enough. And so I would rather take them on when there's stuff going on. So, and I do, I think that now we don't really have as much as the separation for the pilot season and stuff that we used to have. So for us, anytime is fine with us.
The same, anytime's good for us. When it's slower, I have more time where I can go through the emailed submissions and set up more appointments and bring people in. But I'm constantly looking for new people, so it doesn't really matter to us when we get your submissions. We do sometimes are very busy and we can't get around to looking at them, so a month or two may pass before we've even gotten to get into the emails and look through them. And I typically like to bring people on when it's slow. That way it gives me and them a couple of months to get their photos in order, get onto all the necessary websites, and once things start picking up, then they're in place and ready to go. And I usually do let them know it's a very slow time right now, so you may not have anything for a couple of weeks or a month, but once things pick up, you'll be in place and ready to go.
Yeah, I'm gonna take an agreement with that. It's year round because commercials, it's the whole industry's changed. I think we all know that. And I do agree that when it's slow is really the best time to make your change because it takes 2, 3, 4 weeks to get pictures. By the time we've picked through them, you've picked through them, get them on the sites, get all that stuff done. The 5-minute or 10-minute meeting we've had, maybe we can meet a couple more times in between, and it gets you prepped for when it does get busy. Again, not that during a busy time, if you've got something exceptional that you can offer an agency, of course you should submit. And however anybody takes their submissions, whether electronic or by hard copy, we open every single picture and look through everything and evaluate them because we're always looking. That's how we earn our living. It's whether it's new talent or maybe changing some talent. We always want that next great person to come in. So I think it's a year-round submission at this point.
Okay. Just to sort of I guess, put a nail in the coffin of this discussion thread. I'm curious if you could just share with everyone how many submissions you get in a week. And Lainey, I'm also curious if I could ask you, have you seen, and this is just a personal, have you seen an uptick in the number of submissions that have come your way when you know, you see shows like So You Think You Can Dance and America's Dance Crew and Dance Your Ass Off and all these other dance. I mean, does everyone think that, you know, this is my way to break into the business? Have you seen an uptick in the number of performers that have?
No, because traditionally the way we find talent is a lot different than the traditional headshot submission. I mean, we get 75% submissions of just actors that really, again, not doing their research, kind of sending it to our agency, and we really can help them. And then about 25% are actually dancers. But no, we have to go to a lot of classes, conventions, and things like that to find the dancers, and that's always where they are. And it's ballrooms of hundreds and hundreds of dancers, and that's, or else we'll have open call auditions where 300 people show up, and that's how, you know, a lot of these dancers are definitely coming by the boatloads to Los Angeles. But that's good.
How many submissions do you all get a week, just for reference purposes?
It's hard to say, but I mean, you know, there was a slowness during the holidays. We noticed that, and today it changed. The mailman came in again, kind of looking kind of grumpy. But in a week you can get 100, and we're a boutique agency.
Definitely.
Easily. You get 100. And now between adding that up, the hard copy with the electronic comes in every second. Ding, 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 ding. And that's okay, because we have to look at what's out there. It's our job to discover the best talent we can possibly find, and we can help. But there is just a lot of submitting out there.
There are a couple of questions coming in online, which are more of a sort of technical, staff-related nature. So I'll just take a minute, if I could, and just answer them in group. What are the requirements to become a SAG franchised agent? In Los Angeles, you have to be licensed and bonded by the state of California. That's a $50,000 bond. You have to have a commercial office space that is, if possible, compliant with ADA laws. And that's pretty much it. You have to fill out a bunch of paperwork. There are reference letters that you have to provide, all kinds of checking and trusting account issues and all that sort of stuff. But it's more of a, we do criminal searches on all of the agents before we franchise them. These are exceptions, clearly.
And for those of us who don't have fingerprints.
But that's how it happens. The rest of the country has a $10,000 bond. California has a $50,000 bond. How are agents regulated and held to standards of behaving or conducting business? Yes, the agency regulations are 75 pages of protections that the Screen Actors Guild has negotiated on your behalf since 1939, and all of these lovely agents know about them ad nauseum. Who enforces the standards when any agent breaks these standards or conducts themselves unethically, criminally, or inappropriately? That would be me. Does the Screen Actors Guild really have control or enforcement over this, over agents? I really don't know. No, the answer to that, sorry. The answer to that is yes. So let's get back to you. Thank you for that. Let's get back to you guys. There are a bunch of questions about the marketplace today. Obviously, everyone is talking about the economy. Every commercial you hear is in difficult times like these. Can you talk about what, I'm a client of yours now, I've gotten in the door. What are my expectations for representation? How often should I go out? How realistic should I be?
We're all going to take a pass.
Well, we work on commercials, mostly for dancers, but, you know, for the odd commercial here or there for young, hip talent. I've noticed a drop significantly, but I think they're more the experts probably to talk about this. I could be wrong, because I think it's maybe just the dance commercials that are dropping when they used to be really hot. I've noticed a drop just for union commercials in general. So.
Well, I, haven't been doing it for the 30 years that Chaim has. I had to. He's been doing it since he was 3. He's been doing it since he was 3 years old.
I've been doing this for 8. One mistake, you're holding it over my head.
Good agent. Well, when I started, and breakdowns used to still come over that old teletype machine, we were busy. And in the 90s, it was slamming and it was busy. And really, I'm not going to say everybody got out, but there was a lot of work for a lot of people. Since the STRIKE,
yes,
It really has not come back the way it was. And so, expectations, I think we can't. We don't have a crystal ball anymore. And I think, Jaime was right that there really used to be a season. It used to crank, right in July, right after July 4th, up until Christmas. I mean, it would crank. You'd get a little holiday season. Right after January, right after Super Bowl, it would just start to crank again until about Memorial Day. It's not like that anymore. It's almost like a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday type of business now. It seems like there's more people fighting for less jobs. And I'm going to say this, as an agent, the most important thing for me from my clients in order to assure you getting out more and more is the best pictures. Make sure they're current. Your resumes, your profiles on all of these electronic submission sites are current. And I'm sure everybody's going to nod their head like this when we say, yeah, but you still have a black and white picture up. Your age range isn't on Actors Access. You're not on the new Casting Frontiers, which 2 casting directors now exclusively use. Oh, I didn't know. Well, that's we try and tell you, and we have all these ways that we can email you the things we expect. We need you to be as proactive as we are. You've got to get in those workshops. You have to help us do our job, because I just think there's less jobs right now and more people fighting for them.
And it's so important, to understand the craft, because it's a craft. And you need to really hone in on that, be in a class. I think that if you're in a class or you're doing a play, your mind is involved creatively rather than, oh my God, my email hasn't gone off, or my phone hasn't gone off, or this or that, because then you're worried about it the next audition. I've been in this business since I was 14. I'm the 30-year-old person that's been doing this for this long. So I have seen this industry changed overnight. Less and less work, but then again, it's not. You look at who's doing what and everything. There's a lot of stuff out there, but because there's a lot more of you guys involved. There's a lot more actors involved. The Screen Actors Guild every year, tells you how many more. I think when I joined the union, it was like 65,000 members, and that was 30 years ago, and now it's 120. So those are the stats. But your job is to make sure that the craft is right. So when they ask you to come in and build that chair, you know what kind of chair they're asking you to do. So I'm addressing the craft to a carpenter, not to an actor. But the actor has to apply the same technique as that carpenter. So when you do get that phone call for that audition, it's not just to warm you up for the next audition. No, it's to book the job.
Let me see what I want to add to that. My people, it depends. So certain types go out all the time, and they go out daily, and they could not keep a day job down because I'm sending them out so much. And then other people don't go out that often. So if a client comes to me and says, well, how often will I go out? I don't know. We have to wait and see. We have to see how effective their photo is. But I do require my clients to have flexible day jobs if they have a day job. I mean, I want you to have a day job because I don't want anything to happen to you. I want you to be able to pay, your expenses and stuff when things are slow. But I need people that can get people to cover for them, because sometimes we'll get a day notice when I'm talking about commercials. We'll sometimes get a day notice, but sometimes we get same day. And the same day auditions are great because they're usually like straight to call back or whatever. So theatrically you can get a same day sometimes. Usually you have a little bit more notice than that. But the one thing I hate is when people turn down an audition because they can't get out of their day job. And that's really frustrating, because we do get people that come on board and they book their first national out of their first audition. So as everyone said here, every audition is so important, so important. So when any of my people have to turn something down, it kills me, and I try to get them replaced. I try to do everything I can to get them there. But I think that all of you should keep in mind, you just want to make sure that your job is flexible, and if you're not going out enough for your taste, then what it is that you need to look at your photo. You want to look at your resumes. You do want to make sure online everything's perfect. You do have those age ranges. I noticed even today one of my people didn't have their age range on Casting Frontier, which is kind of the new, becoming a new casting use for there's 2 or 3 casting directors right now that are using that right now. And that stops you from being sorted and stops you from being submitted. So you want to make sure all your I's are dotted, all your T's are crossed. But how often you go out, it's actually going to be different. I think because of your type.
Yeah, I would agree. Also, it's hard to say to somebody how often they're going to go out because every person's different and there's different jobs casting at different times. So you may have a really busy week where you're out every single day, and then you may go 2 weeks and not have an audition. A lot of my people go out on several auditions every day, and then I have people that don't go out at all. And I think the key is really the photo. And as an agent, I'm pretty tough about the photos because I see an actor's picture 100 times a day. So within a couple of months, I'm kind of ready for a new picture myself. So I try to persuade actors to think about it in the way of the casting directors. They've probably seen your picture 100 times also, and if you're not getting out, you need to really think about getting a new picture. Also getting into classes and workshops also great, because if you do get the audition, but you're not getting the call back, well then there's something that's probably a little bit off with you. So it's pictures, classes, and it's hard to gauge who's going to get out. I think all of us here, when we represent a new person, we're hoping they're going to get out every single day, or we wouldn't be bringing them onto the agency. And sometimes, you strike, somebody really great. I brought on a guy 6 months ago. He was non-union, had never been on audition ever, and he's booked 6 nationals in 6 months.
If I just add one other thing too, there's a lot less casting directors working than there used to be. And these casting directors are used to their favorite people. It's a little tough to break in somebody new. And again, I can't stress enough that it's that photo. They have a disinterested assistant on the other side of that computer looking at a thumbnail that's either a frustrated actor or unhappy in their job and getting beaten up by the casting director. And so they pass and pass and pass. That photo has to be so good that they have to stop and say, hey, Joe Blake, come look at this. My God, what a great picture. We don't know him. And Joe says, yeah, let's bring him in. So I think that's paramount right now, is the picture.
Definitely, the picture is so important because I've got a couple friends of mine that are really good friends that are casting directors, and you would think I'd get my people in with them all the time, and sometimes I'm lucky to get 2 auditions for one whole project. Exactly. And they
no names, no names.
That wasn't a name. That was a city in Minnesota.
So casting directors have their favorites. So if you have a picture that's not really jumping out at them, there's a chance they're not going to bring you in. So, I mean, the picture is the most important thing I could stress.
And one other thing, again, if you don't get the breakdowns, another casting director whose name will be mentioned, not mentioned, submit your best 5 only, right? Or this other one is submit only friends, the people I love best. Exactly. And so we're kind of in a catch-22 that way. So photo. If you come out of anything with this, photo, it's got a pop, it's got a thumbnail, and it has to pop out so much that they have got to see it. We have to win with your picture.
I just want to mention at this particular point in time that the Screen Actors Guild has something called iActor. Everyone in this room, everyone online, you should be signed up to iActor. It is going to be the casting gateway of the future. So there's a whole bunch of internet sites that you've heard mentioned here today. Just keep in mind that it's a free resource that has been put together by the Guild for you specifically as SAG members, for only SAG members. So I just wanted to mention that for what it's worth. I want to touch upon some level of frustration that I'm getting from all of you. I think Jaime said that there are stars who are now filling guest star roles. There used to be a time when you could actually get an Emmy nomination and no one knew who the hell you were. That doesn't happen anymore. It's Sharon Stone or someone else doing a show. And a performer 5 years ago who was getting triple scale is now getting scale plus 10. And Gar mentioned also the casting director sort of niche. They fall into a certain groove and they either go to the same people every time or to the same agent every time, and they request specific people. So if you could just talk about what areas of the business are most frustrating, most challenging for you. A lot of these member questions are focusing on that.
Well, let's maybe go to TV film. It's really changed. And for example, I respect so much, do your research when you submit to an agency. For TV film, my agency is guest star and above. And it's very, very difficult for us as business people to take on a development person and sit and work all day for $73. is basically what it is. Unless, again, you have something so specific and something so worthwhile that that casting director has to look for you. But as Zino said, I mean, I think there isn't a series that Glenn Close hasn't been on yet, right? I mean, hasn't she done everything? You know, the celebrities are taking the pilots. They're taking these series regulars roles where we had a chance to get some of maybe our guest star people that are network approved up. The guest stars are being taken still by celebrities, and the guest stars are taking the co-stars, and it's leaving a smaller pool. How do we combat that? Well, you know, unfortunately, and I was very anti these actors workshops where you pay to audition. We can't get generals anymore like we used to. We used to be able to call up and say, hey, you know, so-and-so, see so-and-so, they're really great. You know, the person's ethnic, whatever, they speak fluent Spanish. You're really going to love them. They're 25 to play 16. Great, we'll see them. Now you have to get in front of these casting directors or their associates because they get paid for it. And it's a shame, but unfortunately it's a part of the business and you get seen. So again, we ask you as actors to be proactive about that. One other thing that Zino had said, some of these casting directors, I did a seminar with the Talent Managers Association, and Sean Dawson, can I mention Sean Dawson's name?
No.
Okay, I didn't. Bleep that. But we asked how they cast a pilot, and they said, you know, I do 2 shows a day. You know, sometimes I do a matinee on Sundays. But you know, they may get to see 40 people. They're going to get 10 from the network, right? They're going to get 10 of their favorite people. They're going to go to their favorite agencies and take 10, and maybe they'll see 10 new faces. And so we say, well, you know, how do we get in? How do we get that one great person that we have that is your specific character for your breakdown? I mean, we've got that exact person. Well, I don't know. That's the answer we get. So we're fighting for you. We fight every day for you because that's how we earn our living. But again, I think we need the tools. You need to help us that way.
Yeah, you know, we can go on and on talking about this, but that is basically, in a nutshell, the breakdown. There's a lot less film out there, as you all know, because of the troubles that we've gotten into in the planet with finances and everything else. So that has a lot to do with it. So as soon as we get back into that, we will. But what do we do in the meantime? You have to really work on your craft. So when this particular casting director answers his phone call, because it is a matter of calling that office and a couple of other offices like that over and over and over, because they handle 5 or 6 or 7 different shows. So it's your job to shine when you do walk in that door and go for that audition, whether it's a co-star or a guest star, or whatever the audition is. You have to be really, really good and also make an impression with them and also treat them courteous, because they cast 5 other shows. So you may not be booking that particular one, but it might open the door for another opportunity, because they all talk to each other. They all work with all the same showrunners and whatnot. Remember to watch a lot of television so you understand the chronological order of how they cast and who they bring in. There's a lot of different people involved in the making of one TV show. There's the showrunners that have to answer to the network, then the network to the studio, and all this blah, blah, blah. What's going on with the Tonight Show and that other show tonight will teach you a little bit of all the stuff that's going on. What happened with NBC? It caught 5 hours off of prime time. That took a lot of jobs from a lot of people. But guess what? I think we're going to gain that back. But it's up to you to go in there and bat and hit that ball right out of the ballpark.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I think I was just going to say, you know, we keep harping on the tools. It's just that you always have to think, you know, opportunity meets preparation meets opportunity. Have your tools prepared, your crafts, be skilled, take your classes, have everything that you can possibly have prepared, and the opportunity will come. If you're diligent and you keep, you know, doing something every day for your profession, whether that's reading the trades, taking classes, taking a different type of class, meeting people, networking, doing whatever you can, you will get that opportunity if you're persistent and you're always prepared.
And also, I think my frustration would be when actors think that a part's too small. And the thing to remember is I've had people have one line but work a week. You know, I've had people who have gone in for a co-star and walk out with the guest star because they were so good. So you make of it what, you know, you have that opportunity. If you have an opportunity to get in there, get in there. You know, and so that would be my frustration, is I don't think any part's really that small. I do agree that with certain actors you're at a time in your career and you don't want to do anything small, okay, that's fine. But I think we're in an economy right now that I want you to get your pension. So I want you to work. I want you to get in the door. I want them, to show you. I want you to show your stuff so casting loves you. And I have had casting absolutely hire someone for a co-star on one and then call me later and give them a guest star on their other show. I have had that happen, and I have also had this happen where an actor went in, does his audition, leaves, figures, oh, well, lets it go. 2 months later, I got a call that they wrote a part for him on the show because he was so great. So every audition you do, even if you don't get it, you may have hit it right out of the ballpark, you know what I'm saying? So you guys just have to keep going, keep trying, but just remember, no part's that's necessarily that small. It could be a lot of days' work, even though, you don't judge it just by the lines or something, okay?
So let's, thank you, that was all very helpful. Let's talk specifics. You talk about tools, and you talked about being prepared, Lainey. Let's talk about, okay, now I'm a client of yours, or I'm about to become a client of yours, and I have a headshot. What is your recommendation for performers who are looking to get representation? Should they go out and spend the money on a photographer, or should they get some kind of amateur shot before they come to you, and then you can recommend a photographer or a list of photographers rather that they can utilize? People want to get representation, but they also don't want to spend the money if they're going to someone that they're not sure about if it fits your direction that you want their career to go in. So can you talk a little bit about the photograph process? I know that Chaim talked about I think it was a black and white photo, or maybe it was Gar. What's the current usage today? Is it black and white? Is it color, etc.?
That's a kind of difficult question as far as...
Okay, we'll move on.
We're glad you took it. That was good. Thank you very much.
Next.
It's kind of like the cart before the horse. I mean, what do I do? Well, you have to market yourself. And so we were talking in the back about a guy who sent in a picture that was about 15 years old, and we had said, what is that, your bar mitzvah picture? You're investing in yourself. If you're gonna buy and open up a restaurant, or you're going to serve, half-baked food to your clients until you get going. I think, it's really, it sounds so silly, but I think you're going to have to make an investment. You as actors, there's so many resources for you for photographers that are not expensive. Okay, yeah. You've got everything out. You've got a world of information out there that you can take a very good headshot for minimum. You don't have to have 7 looks. You can take 1 look. I need something for submission, and you've got yourselves as actors and peers to maybe say, hey, what do you think of this shot? Again, we'll all laugh in a second when we get that blurry headshot that comes in, and well, I'm waiting to get new pictures until I get an agent. Well, you're not going to get picked. You're not going to get picked to come in for that precious appointment with the agent with a picture that's not your best.
I think that if you're ready to embark in this career, you have to be financially set to invest in it, because it does take some money to run this particular career. Why? Because it does take the best picture to get notice from us, and then we are going to tell you. We are. I'm serious, but no matter who took your pictures or what, but we're still going to suggest a new session, because we market you the way we want to market you. We have a vision through our agency. We also have standards, and you have to understand that we are inviting you to work together, so you have to understand and work with the standards that we're asking of you, because we are investing money in you. A lot of times we invest time and money on a client, and we never produce any gain from that client. They move on, they go to another agency. So remember, if we are asking you to invest in your career, it's only to gain opportunity for yourself.
So Jaime, the trend is back to, correct me if I'm wrong, color photographs, yes?
Yes, color photographs.
It was black and white for about a minute. Now it's back to color?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think the black and white was probably a dream sequence in the past. No, we're 2010. A lot of people were confused about 2010. No, it's 2010. There was a movie about this. We're in the future. So, color.
I think there are a lot of photographers, aren't there? And what I found, and I think the best advice if you don't have an agent yet, because they do have their own favorite that they'll give you a list, because I have favorites. And my favorites actually are based on the fact that I have photographers that I know if they take your shots, I can get you an audition. I don't know why that is, but I know that they'll get you, and that the people that do shoot with those particular people, they get auditions. So, and if you're going to spend the money anyways, you might as well spend the money with someone's going to get you an audition. But if you don't have an agent yet, then what I would suggest is, when you're looking at the photographers, I like to look at, see the ones that are shooting working actors. And there are photographers out there that are shooting the working actors, right? And so when you see that, look how the photo's composed. Look, this is what I tell my people all the time. Look at what clothing they're wearing. Look at the colors. Look how they're facing the camera. And those, I think, would be a good choice for a photographer. I also have people whose family, I mean, it sounds weird, but I have one client whose sister takes his photos. They're fantastic. So if you have a talented person in your family that does that and really captures you and you're comfortable with them, that's okay too. Because the main thing is, I mean, we could send you to a great photographer, but if you're scared to death and you take 100 just staring into the camera and you don't move, I mean, I've had that. I've had people, go to good photographers and hand me 50 of the same look, scared to death, but the jacket on, they never undo the tie, they don't take the jacket on, nothing, 50. Same face. So there's nothing we can do with that. We can get one photo, but that's it. So, but I think if we're talking about you don't have the agent yet, you're trying to get the agent, then that's what I would do. Find the people that are shooting working actors and go shoot with them. And maybe do a short session, maybe just do, they all have different prices, so maybe just do the 2 looks, or even if you can't afford it, do the 1 look, and, and get it. But if I can just add, because while I've got you guys, this is what I tell my people all the time, what's really working right now commercially really is open into the camera, really nice, looking at the camera. It used to be about 2 or 3 years ago, the dipping into the frame, and if and now the dipping's dead. They won't call you in for the dipping. So really, and I'm not saying it's not boring like Passport, but it's almost the same. It's open body language is what it is.
Did you say Passport?
Boring. It's not boring like Passport. I don't want Passport photos, but it's facing the camera so that the people can see you. I mean, you're this big, right? So they can see you and they can see your eyes, and then hopefully they'll stop on you and they'll call you in.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Also, the picture's so important. And now what casting directors are seeing is the size of a postage stamp. So you have to have something that really pops off that page. So for my clients, I like a lot of color. I like something interesting going on because it's cropped from about here up. So you're really only seeing this much. So you have to really be able to do something that makes you get noticed. And for those of you that are looking for a new agent, like he had said, pretty much every agent you're going to sign with is going to give you some new direction. They're going to want a new shoot. They're going to have very specific looks that they're going to want. They know their casting directors and what they're looking for, so they're going to tell you to reshoot. But it is so important to have that right picture, or you might not get that meeting. So I think to spend a little bit of money, now there's a lot of photographers out there because everything's digital. Prices have come down quite a bit, so not everybody's shooting film anymore and charging $800. So you are able to find photographers that will do 1 look for $100, $150. And I also recommend looking into what photographers agents are using. A lot of agencies have lists of photographers available. If you go on my website, it's unlocked. You can go through there. I've got probably 30 or 40 photographers on there. Some of them are my absolute favorites that I know that if somebody shoots with that person, they're going to get auditions. There's no questions about it. But it is a little bit difficult to spend money and then go into an agency and have them ask you for new photos. And we don't do that because we are getting a kickback from the photographer. We're doing that because we know what is needed to get you out. So the pictures, pictures, pictures. Most important thing, the pictures.
Just some of my clients have actually just done some test shots with a friend of a particular type of outfit or the way they're going to wear their hair. Really inexpensive, either digitally or something like that. They bring them into us, we look at them, and before they decide to go forward and shoot with the photographer, we look at what they think they're going to be doing and advise them on that. So I've had some, some clever clients actually do that, and we've stopped a lot of things before it moves forward. And other times they have really good ideas, and we're like, wow, that's good. Why don't you do that? But like everyone here said, the prices have really come down. There's no real reason anymore. You don't have to spend a fortune on retouching and getting all these lithographs or whatever done, and there really isn't any excuse, and getting new pictures every 6 months is an excellent idea.
Okay, great. So there's a bunch of questions about exclusivity and signing contracts as opposed to a handshake or a hip pocket agreement. I just want to, before I turn it over to the agents to talk about their preferences, I want to say that this is one of those really regional questions. In every place outside of New York and Los Angeles, signed written SAG contracts are virtually non-existent. Everyone is on a handshake deal. There's a much more informal relationship between agent and performer than there is in Hollywood or New York. New York's about a 50-50 market. It used to be much more non-exclusive than it is now, but that's slowly starting to change. Los Angeles, for the most part, purely an exclusive market. This is a market where there's a great deal of poaching. You get, one performer on a CW television show, and the next thing you know, William Morris Endeavor is calling them. So what we've found at SAG is that generally the exclusive relationships tend to rule in Los Angeles, but this particular performer out of New York is saying what factors are useful in making a decision about whether to sign an exclusive agency contract or not. So I'll turn it over to you guys.
Oh no. Here's like they're all going to disagree with me again. No, it's terrible.
That's why we put you at the end.
This is what I do. Okay, if I got you theatrically, I sign you up. I throw away the key. No, I sign you. Okay. If I've only got you commercially, I might handshake with you, only because I want to see if you'll go to your auditions. I swear that's my thing. But so I might start off that way. But if I do have you across the board, you're signed because I don't want to get you on a series and you to go to William Morris. So that's how I do it.
Yeah, I guess it all depends on the size of the agency because it does take a lot of work to do contracts, a lot of follow-up. I got a call from SAG today saying, you didn't follow up on this contract thing. You guys really don't understand what we're talking about in a lot of ways, but it is a lot of paperwork. It's a lot of stuff that takes away from your daily routine. Why don't we have an assistant? Why don't we have somebody else work it? It takes money to pay somebody else to do that kind of work. Back to the question. Yes, of course, it's better to have a signed agreement, but I'm also a true believer with what Zino said. If you get my communication about a handshake and a gentleman's agreement, then as long as you understand and comprehend that and take it to the bank, we're in agreement with an agreement as grown-ups or whatever else, because we're working for you. If we don't have time to sign that contract within 2 or 3 months or whatever, that doesn't mean we didn't submit you on a project or that we didn't handle you. We do, because you are part of our company. But obviously, we live in a city where everybody's very insecure about that. And I've been approached by a couple of actors just recently that did not have a current contract. They didn't feel nurtured. But that's their own thought, because I wasn't handling them that way at all. So I guess in LA, it's a good thing to sign a contract, whether you're, across the border or not.
It's a lot of work, and I think, again, with today's economy, having the assistants that the agencies used to have that specifically handle that, or a business manager, those days are kind of gone. Boy, it's a tough thing. You nurture a client, and you get that person a television show, and they host a show, and they get a network deal, and it was that wonderful handshake, and this is forever. My God, I love you. You're the greatest agent in the world. And 3 weeks later, I'm going to go to blank, blank, blank agency. And it's, boy, I should have. Well, I'm a handshake kind of a person, too. It's all about the heart. It's all about the head. If you're happy, we're fine. If you're not happy, I expect at least you to come and say, I'm not happy. Here's what's happening, here's what's not, because we started this relationship on a great note. And, where did it veer off of track? Is it savable, salvageable? Yes, it is. Okay, let's resume it. No, it isn't. At least we're going to part friends, with a good feeling about each other, and the door stays open. I think, if somebody books a series, obviously, I'm going to agree there. We're going to want to sign a contract with that, too, just for our protection. It does help us in its own way. But this is a business of insecurities, I think, on a lot of people's parts, but we're there working for you. If we say we want you, we want you. If you're unhappy, we don't want you to be here if you're not happy. A contract's not going to hold you to being unhappy. We'd rather not have you. You're not going to represent us in your best way if you're not happy. So, that's kind of a discussion. I think I agree again with Jaime. If you need that piece of paper for your own security, well, okay, well, we'll do one. If that's what makes you feel better, okay. But it's just not something I think that today has to be a daily part of the operation.
My agency is a contract kind of agency, and I find that the performers we represent are happier once they've signed the contract. And I do get phone calls from people, hey, my contract expired yesterday. What's going on? Am I still with the agency? And then we had bring them back in and do the paperwork, the contract. And it is quite a bit of work for us to have to do it, to bring them in. You send it in, and if you didn't cross the right letter, it comes right back to you. Then the performer has to come back in.
You get that little letter from Jocelyn.
Yes, Jocelyn's calling. So we do put everybody on a contract, and there have been a few times, in my career that I've actually been very happy that I've had that contract. But also, you'd said, if there's somebody that we represent and they're not happy with the agency, we're just going to part ways, because I don't want to send somebody out there that isn't happy. I want everybody that I'm getting auditions for to be happy to be going out and putting out, good representation of my agency. So we do contracts for everybody.
I think if you have a clear understanding with your client what exactly, both of you are getting from the relationship. I know that we didn't used to have contracts, and now we're leaning more towards signing contracts with talent. I know there's a lot of people out there that kind of float around and get commercial representation, sometimes from more than one agency, especially if that agency maybe has a print department and things get kind of gray and they overlap. So first and foremost, I think it's important that the agent and the client are really clear with each other to avoid that. But, we've started to sign more contracts that are a little more exclusive now, just because that had become a problem in the past. So,
can we ask you a question? Do you have the contract online now, that it's printable?
Yes.
It is. Okay.
Yes.
That would make a big difference.
No, it's not printable. It's just downloadable, and then you have to write it.
No, it is now printable.
Oh, it is? When did that start? Because that could help us 100%. I mean, when it first...
Well...
See, the thing is, you guys don't realize, but before, as agents, we had to buy these contracts from another company. And now the Screen Actors Guild has in their database, and we can download it. So it is printable.
Yeah,
we can go in there.
The way, just to jump in, the way it's going to work is that you'll be able to access as a franchised agent your particular section of the SAG website. You enter in a. This is really interesting stuff, isn't it? You're going to enter in your code, and then all of the contracts will be available, and you can fill them in online. You don't have to print them out.
When is this going to happen?
Very, very soon.
Well, and then what about the signature? Well, so what about the signature?
Well, all right, but I'm doing this right now, Jaime. When I'm done here, I'll go take care of it
now
for you.
Now the answer is we're going to have everybody
we'll
have
have
contract.
But what about the signatures? Will they? Still have to be
No,
printed?
you need original signatures.
Okay,
You'll
so
always
we'll
need
be able to
original
print it, get original signatures,
Right.
mail it, and then Jocelyn will send it back because...
Yes, because you forgot to sign your name.
Right, well, then it's out of the date range.
Poor Jocelyn getting the shrapnel tonight.
She's not here.
It goes back to proving me right. It's 2010. Color pictures.
Something good got resolved tonight, because I think that was one of our issues about not doing contracts. It was so paperwork intensive.
Just to double back to the issue of exclusive versus non-exclusive, all performers should know that regardless of your relationship with your agent, the agency regulations protect both the performer and the agent, even if you're on a handshake deal. There's one question that deals with self-submissions, and I'll just answer it because I don't want to embarrass you, but the question is essentially, can I self-submit if I'm represented by an agent on a handshake deal or otherwise? The answer is yes, provided that you and your agent have an understanding that you are submitting yourself for a particular job. There's nothing worse, particularly in Los Angeles and New York, than submitting yourself for a job, not telling your agent, and your agent submitting you as well, or heaven forbid, some other entity submitting you 3 times for the same job. You'll never get called again. So just for those purposes, I wanted to say that. There's a lot of questions from the performers, both online and in the room here in Los Angeles, that seem to deal with a level of frustration, either not being able to get in to see you, or getting you to see their work, or getting representation that works with their career. So I want to start asking a bunch of those questions that seem to come from a sense of frustration. Do you all work with managers? Because traditionally, as managers are defined in the agency regulations, they guide and provide support for your career, and part of that has traditionally been to go out and get you a franchised agent. So, but if you're already signed with a manager, you know, that relationship obviously continues even after they sign with you. So how do you work with managers, and do you think that they're a good idea to get started with?
I do, and I love them. So I love the managers I work with, and they will recommend to me their people, and usually they've got, you know, great pictures already, they have their resumes put together, they've got their links already, you know, their demos are up, their links are, so I get the whole package, and I also know that I'm going to be able to be working on a team with some really cool people. So I do love to work with managers, as long as the actor uses the manager properly, because I think the problem that a lot of you guys have is that you maybe can't get the agent that you're comfortable with, and so you're using your manager more like an agent and that sort of thing. And so when you're working with an agent and a manager, I would hope that you would really lean on your manager and let them do their job, you know, let them help you with your pictures, let them give you that, you know, advice. And so I think that's maybe a problem, is when you have a manager and an agent and they're both acting kind of like your agent. So I think that's kind of not needed. So.
Yeah, we work with managers, and we love managers that are proactive and take the initiative to either help you with the questions that sometimes we don't have the time, also to help you with the pictures and stuff like that. But make sure that you understand the distinction of their duties and the distinction of our duties, because we are franchised, we are licensed, so there's certain things that we're able to do that a manager is not able to do. A manager should not be the one who closes your deal or does certain things like that that are not licensed. So just make sure that you understand their duties and our duties. Now, sometimes in the beginning of your career, you may not need a manager. So try to also understand that. We can't really describe all of that right now, but at our company, we love managers that are proactive and that really understand the business. Thank you.
Well, I think, you know, Zino touched on the part of this answer when somebody had asked, how do you become a SAG franchised agent? We do go through background checks. We do have to have referrals. We are state licensed. Again, I have no fingerprints, and it took me probably 4 times to get fingerprinted to get my license. It's a $50,000 bond. We are responsible both to the Screen Actors Guild and the state. Okay? You can print a business card and put manager under it, and now you're a manager. That being said, we love managers at my agency, because with that relationship, a lot of times they're going to do a lot of the initial homework, a lot of the grunt work, and get very good clients. They generally know they're in classes, they've got the pictures, they do a lot of the work for us. But again, you don't need 2 agents. You know, Zino said it best, you don't want to have 3 people submitting on one project, and we're calling and pitching to a certain casting director, oh, well, my God, this person's been submitted 4 times. Okay, so I kind of think that a lot of times a beginning actor may think a manager is the right person, and then they get this little attachment, well, my manager gets me out all the time. You know, what are you going to do for me? And there is a distinctive line. A manager cannot procure employment. They really, by law, can't submit you. They're not supposed to submit you. They are not supposed to close deals for you, even negotiate on your behalf. On your behalf, but it's become so convoluted or diluted over the years that the manager has been able to take on a agent's role. And I think that the Screen Actors Guild is maybe making some moves to help differentiate that in a positive way. Managers are good if they're managers, and that's what I have to agree with, and I agree that there are some great ones out there. There really are some tremendous managers out there. Again, up to you to do your homework. Do we refer sometimes? You know, but it's not something I like to do, because again, if it doesn't work out, I don't want to damage our relationship. But you know, it could be an important step for your career, as long as you differentiate that I have an agent and a manager, and they do different things.
We also enjoy working with a lot of managers, but we get a little bit weary sometimes, because my agency, we're a boutique agency, we're only commercial. So I get a little bit worried sometimes when my performers have a manager that is really not doing anything for them, but they're just taking a commission. Mm-hmm. So in that regards, for some of my people, the younger ones that have not done a lot of work and aren't really thinking about going out theatrically, they're just going out commercially, and I'm doing all the work for them, and then there are managers taking a commission off of that. It makes me a little bit nervous. But overall, managers are great, and you just need to research them, make sure, you know, that they've got the right connections to get you in. And it's a good teamwork between the manager and the agent.
Not to be a Debbie Downer here, but we haven't had good experience with managers. I think mostly because we're a specialized field and it's such an underground kind of industry that a lot of managers don't really know our industry as well as the traditional industries they're in, film and TV. But I have to agree, the managers we have worked with, they're not, I don't think they're clearly defining what a traditional manager should be doing, which is advising you on your career, your pictures, your classes, maybe going through the trades together and kind of making a game plan, booking you out, like just these little basic things. They're supposed to organize your schedule and your career and kind of, you know, get you generals or things that, you know, what we find is they're submitting you on the breakdowns and they're trying to look at your contracts for you, and that's not traditionally what they should be doing. And so, you know, we will work maybe once in a while with a manager, but we're really kind of trepidatious about it just because of that.
Well, if I want to add too, because I started out just as a commercial agent too, and years ago managers, none of the commercial casting directors would deal with a manager, period, none. And when we're making our living on just commercials and you get a manager, for example, that may want to get you theatrical representation, and unfortunately we'll all sell our souls to the devil for theatrical representation, and the manager moves you from a great commercial agency. Right? Well, you're going to go to X because they've got both. And sometimes they may make a wrong decision, but it's so that they can have control, all right? Because they can't be involved in your commercial career usually. And again, I agree that sometimes they take that percentage. They didn't get you the agent. They're not working on your behalf commercially, especially. They're not really working on your behalf to get you the right agent. They move you to their friend. And then you kind of lose all the way around. So you really have to do your homework. We're always saying this to you. You got to do your due diligence when you're looking at a manager. Never give up great commercial representation for, you know, taking a step down just to get theatrical representation, thinking you're going to get out, because it'll cost you valuable time in your career. You may burn a bridge. You know, that's your living. So it's a sticky area. But you know, I'm going to defend us commercial agencies, especially. You know, it's an important thing for us.
One thing these agents are not going to tell you, because they're trying to be polite, the worst thing you can do is to pit your manager against your agent. It is your job as performers. I know a lot of performers who call our department and say, oh, well, my manager's dealing with this. That is the worst thing that you can do. You need to remain engaged in the communication between agent and manager, and you need to sort of step up, even if it's unpleasant. Because it is a small market, Hollywood is a small town, and not to mention the other towns out there. So try to facilitate that relationship to the best of your ability, and don't pit one against the other. Lainey, you said earlier that, you know, obviously yours is a specific agency, and live performances are part of your process for gaining clients. And there are a lot of questions about actors being frustrated, even if they are your clients, to get in front of you. You know what I mean? Like they're on your roster, but they haven't heard from you for 2 weeks. So I know you're very busy, but how often do you go out and see your performers in plays or in musicals or recitals, whatever? How often do you get out there and do that?
Not enough, and we've actually kicked ourselves the last year and decided that we need to. Our clients love it when we come and see them. It means the world to them, and it is invaluable for us to see them. So we rededicated ourselves last year. Actually, we kind of we went through a period where we had been in business for about 10 years. You start to rest on your laurels a little bit and forget the reason why you became successful in the first place and why people wanted to come to your agency. So we've made an aggressive, stance again to really get out there and see our clients perform. We go to lots of concerts. It's actually been, it's a topic of weekly discussion in our particular agency because we do have performers, dancers out there doing a lot of different things, and it's just makes their day when we show up, and it's important because then we see what, how they're performing and how they're behaving on a set or on a stage, and so we're out there a lot now.
I wish I got out there a little bit more than I do, but we're a small agency, so we pretty much work all day. We work late into the night, so it's, not unheard of that it's 8 o'clock at night and we're still at the office every day of the week and working on the weekends. And when I'm not working, I'm probably not going to see somebody's play. That would be the truth. But I'm pretty honest with my clients. When I sign somebody new onto the agency, I do kind of let them know that that's how we run things. If they do have a clip they want to send over, we're going to definitely take a look at that. But it's really difficult for me and the other agent to leave the office, close it down, and then go see somebody's play or a performance. And yeah, I don't do it often enough.
Well, case in point, we're here. And I think that all of us, I've done several SAG seminars with Jaime. This is very important when we can give back. Again, as Chaim says, the day of 12 agents and 3 assistants and whatever, that somebody from the agency could get out to come are gone. And I have clients in New York, so I'm up very early doing New York breakdowns. I don't leave the agency usually until about 7 o'clock, and then I'm home and I'm on the computer getting the rest of the day, anything that I can finish up, and then anything that maybe for the morning started, answering emails, trying to, because again, we're TV, film, and commercial, we've got to have that TV on all day and to make sure we're watching and we're current. So it's tough, and I can't agree more. Yes, it's to throw my agents out there, and I really wish we could come out more. It's tough to drive over the hill into LA when you get out at 7, to get there by 7 o'clock or 7:30 to see something, getting home at 10, being up at 5 or 5:30 or 6 o'clock to start work. So I think more of it, maybe it's an apology that we wish we could do more, but I think the nature of the business right now keeps us in front of that computer. It's really what it is.
That's why it's good to watch you on TV or at the film.
You should book.
No, but anytime we can. I mean, we're invited all the time. A lot of times when you do book somebody at the Geffen Playhouse, well, then that's really awesome to go see you guys there, because we applaud you for getting to that level of theater and that sort of thing. We were fortunate enough to have 2 people in one of the last shows there, and that was really awesome. So we will come and support that. And we do often come and support the smaller local theater. We try to sort of kind of, make sure that it's a reputable theater and that sort of thing, that you did choose a really good group of people to work with for your own self, and also to bring industry people. So we do try really hard, but we are at the office till pretty late.
My husband's a stage actor, so I see a lot of plays. I've seen a lot of bad plays too. But I actually prefer to, my theatrical people, I want to see your film technique. Sometimes you can be a fantastic stage actor, and we do have some equity actors as well, and we get them equity work, but sometimes you can be a wonderful stage actor. Maybe you're not so great on film. You might be too big, or, like me, too bobbing of your head and that sort of thing. So I do want to see, what impresses me a lot is seeing your links and your film that you have on yourself. I want to see how you work the close-up, and if you know those skills. So I'm more impressed by seeing your demos.
Okay, great. There are questions on either side of the age issue. There are many questions from performers, both online and in the room, about, I'm a person of a certain age with either few credits, or I haven't done work in a long time, or I'm a 14-year-old just starting out in the business, and I'm finding it hard to get representation. My understanding is that the smaller, more boutique-sized agencies really do try to have a broad spectrum of representation. You have everyone, from every age in your roster. So, can you talk about the frustration that some performers are feeling if they are of a certain age, or if they're just starting out? What advice could you give them?
I'm going to start because I'm the baby agent here. What I have had people who have come to me. I have one lady who came to me who was a stage actress, fantastic stage actress, and she had no film on herself, and she was older. And so what we did was we got her an actor slate, which you guys probably know about. You can buy an actor slate out here. I don't know if they do it all around the nation. I hope so. And so what that does is it gives you a minute of an interview. They tape 10 minutes of you, and they edit it down to a minute, and then you get a minute of an interview. So what we did was we used the actor slate until we could get her, like her first co-star. And then from that, then I stopped using the actor slate, and then I started just using her co-star demo, and then then she got her top of show guest star, and then we started using that. She also did a video game. She was one of those inserts of the Doctor in Fear. I think it was the first video game, and that was one of my clients. And so we used that as like a film demo for her demo, and we just built her career. So a lot of you, I think, might be stage actors with no film on yourself. I think that's a reality, and you're trying to find good film on yourself. How do you get the demo up? Or you might have a demo, but it's old. It's when you were a kid, and now you're older, and you need to have current stuff, right? And so that's how I do it. So the way I build a young actor, or not an age, but young in their career, is that way. And also I've worked with actors that were very famous and on their way, on the other end, right? And so we work with them by getting rid of those black and white photos and getting them to shoot with photographers that are working with working actors, and got some beautiful hip looks for them, and then get them into it, right? So I think at any stage of your career you can do it, right? You just have to take little steps to do it. So
I agree with that. There's really no formula. I think that if there was, one of us would probably write that book and make a lot of money. But there is really no formula to do that. You just have to be up to par with whatever it is that the industry's going through right now at this moment. And that's just being in this room, educating yourself, listening to all of our ideas, and putting it to action. We represent the youngest talent is probably 6 years old, going to auditions. The oldest talent that we represent, I can't name her, but she's like 92 years old. She went on 2 auditions just last week. For her age group, that's a lot. And you know what? She keeps going on auditions almost every other day because her commercial agent also keeps her really, really busy. When she came to me, I think she was like 88. And I thought, this is going to be impossible. But you know what? Her desire to get out to work, to do an audition, it comes back in the response from the casting director or from the employment offer that she gets. So the enthusiasm that this 92-year-old woman has, some of us in the room need to learn from that, because that's what's going to get you the next audition or the next opportunity.
Jaime, just to briefly build on that point, are you advocating that performers who may not necessarily have a truckload of credits go out and do other things, like get an education, take classes, continue to polish their craft, even if they don't have something of them on film?
Absolutely, because it's going to make you current to how a casting director sees you in the audition room. Sometimes you need to learn that adjustment that is happening now in 2010 opposed to the late 90s. Right now, film technique, television technique is very important because a lot of the stuff is for the web and different things like that. So if you're in that age group, you need to educate yourself so you can deliver that performance. And so delivering that performance in that level is what's going to get you the attention of the producer and who's going to hire you.
I kind of sum it up in one word: commercials. If you're a beginning actor, whatever age range you might be, get a good commercial agent, because that's a 30-second screen test. And any of us that have a commercial division and we happen to have a TV film division and say, you know what, the person I'm pitching is that woman in the Visa commercial. You remember the one that's driving the car? Oh yeah, my God, I love her. The dream is that you book that commercial spot and the breakdown comes out the next day. Well, the agent or manager agent that represents the so-and-so in the Taco Bell commercial, please call so-and-so casting. These are 30-second screen tests. And I get a lot of people, I'm not really interested in doing commercials. I just want to do TV film. I really only want to do films. And you've got Spike Lee, you've got Michael Bay directing commercials. You've got all these big directors directing commercials, Spike Jonze, the Coen brothers, the Farrelly brothers. And they use you in a commercial. All of a sudden, I've got one guy that's working with Michael Bay all the time because he directed him in a Chevy commercial. Commercials are so important. You can get tape, right? It gives us something to latch onto and to pitch. Don't rule them out. Plus, they fund the kitty. They put money in your pocket so you can get those great acting classes, get those great photos. It's unfortunately, I think, for a long time, people think, well, that's not really acting. You know, it is, and it's brilliant, and they all watch, and they all are looking at commercials for the next big actor. And I don't have to go into it and tell you all the actors that have been discovered, you know, through commercials. The David Schwimmers and the Matt LeBlancs and the Ali Landrys all did commercials. So that's my suggestion to start: is get a great commercial agent, get yourself out there, so we've got something to pitch.
I mean,
And just
go ahead.
just to reiterate on that, that is the best suggestion, because she talked about availability, and sometimes you have to have that full-time job or that part-time job that doesn't allow you to take that audition. If you book 2 or 3 commercials and they pay good residuals, you don't have to worry about that job. So then you're available for the theatrical opportunity that you're waiting for.
I think it's really important to just elaborate on this again. Yesterday's music video directors are today's commercial directors or tomorrow's film directors.
Right.
Mark Webb, who did 500 Days of Summer, he was a music video director. Francis Lawrence, who does dozens and dozens of commercials, feature films now. And so again, it's like, you know, what we were saying before, like no job is too small, no type of job is too small. And I like what you said about the enthusiasm of your 92-year-old client. Traditionally, the dance career of a dancer, you know, it's short. Most people think it's like an 18 to maybe a mid-30s career, like an athlete. But in essence, what I find is I've got 29, 30-year-old dancers who are just as gorgeous and amazing as the 20-year-olds. It's just the hustle that they lose. They lose the enthusiasm, they lose the hustle, they lose like that will to go out there and go to those auditions. And as long as you keep that going, you grow into your roles. There's always going to be something out there for you. So.
I have to agree, commercially is a great way for everybody to get started and break into the business. And it's fantastic because there's so many roles for every age range out there. I'm sure all of you watch television out at home, and when you're looking at the commercials, it really is a slice of life. There's a role for everybody. I mean, every single one of you in here in this room could be in a commercial right now for just about any product. So I wouldn't worry so much about the age, about the experience, because commercially, if they want you and you have the look, or you came in and you gave just that, you know, slight little performance that they wanted, you have a good chance of getting that job. So it's a really great way to get out there. It's a great way to make money, to keep a flexible schedule, which nowadays is so important. We used to be a little less tolerant of people having jobs at the agency, but now we understand that, you know, with the economy these days, everyone's got to be able to make money. And it makes my job easier when my performers aren't desperate to book a job. But now with things happening same day and having to show up to Santa Monica in 45 minutes for an audition, you do need a flexible schedule. So commercials is a great way to go.
But also just remember, you have to do the same amount of marketing and the same amount of work as far as training, getting in workshops, taking the right workshops, getting the right headshops, doing drop-offs to the commercial casting directors. It isn't just walking in and, you know, you may book your first commercial. This is still a craft. It is still acting. It's still being able to look at the casting director and or the director and knowing that product, knowing the nuance that gets you that job versus the other 4 people sitting next to me. What's going to make me that little bit better? So it's still a craft, and you have to be a great actor, and you need improv, and you need training, and you need to always continually hone your craft. But this is the way to support yourself to get to the goal that you want to get to.
And if I can just add, you need to actually, it's different, commercials versus theatrical, and theatrical actors don't necessarily thrive in commercials if they haven't studied commercial techniques, so you need to at least have taken at least one, or at least, you know, one course in commercials so that you know what the commercial people are looking for when you slate, so that you know it's a different animal. So, and I think that some people, when they come into me to do commercials, they'll do a cold read for me, and I know they haven't studied commercials because they're not doing a good commercial cold read, and I'll ask, have you studied? No. Have you taken any classes? No. Do you want me to rep you? Yeah. You know, it's like, do you think you should take a class, you know? Because it's different, and you can be, it doesn't mean if you're a fantastic theater actor, you might not have the skills yet for commercial. You'll be a fabulous commercial actor, but you need those skills, so you got to just at least take a few classes in that.
I think it was Gar at a previous talent agency seminar who said, if you're relying solely on me as an agent to keep your career going, we're all going to fail. right? And I think everyone agrees with that. It's a partnership, absolutely, but you've got to go out and pound the pavement just as hard. They've got, hundreds of other clients. You're your own client, so you can't just rely on them. So I want to touch on one more thing that appears to be a sense of frustration coming out of the questions that I see in front of me. Acting is an exercise of your art. It's it's the way you express yourself. But auditioning is also an art form, and I'm sure you've represented performers who are very talented actors but can't get past the audition process. So I'm wondering if you can give the performers listening to you tonight some advice about not only the professionalism that you expect when they go into an audition, but what kind of juice they need to have with them when they walk in.
It's an interesting thing. Well, I'm not an actor. Never was, never will be. I don't live my life through your career and live my hopes and dreams that way, trying to have been a frustrated actor. My first career was in the car business, and I was a car salesman. And truly, probably the best actor ever was, because I had to adapt to any and every single customer in every situation that came along in my life. When I interview an actor, really and truly, the thing I'm looking for is how are they going to sell themselves to a casting director? It's paramount to me. Hopefully they'll have been trained. If I take them on for TV film, they're going to be a good actor. I mean, you can do a read for me, and I'm going to kind of look at you with this beautiful smile and say, well, that was wonderful, and the grass is green. It's how are you going to sell yourself? That audition process is so important. People do not buy from who they don't like, okay? And I think everybody has said, we were talking in the back about don't shake hands. Know when the audition's over, okay? Be prepared. Be on time. What you're doing for us as agents is creating a relationship. Maybe Jaime said it, I'm not sure who said it, is even if you don't get that part, okay, and we call and maybe ask for feedback, and they say, they weren't quite right for this, but boy, they were great. Can I pitch them again? Absolutely. That audition, that whole, your carriage and demeanor, how you're dressed, be clean. Please be clean. Don't smell. Don't have a cigarette before you go in or a cup of coffee. If they're asking you a bunch of questions, answer them briefly, right? When audition is done, say, oh, but I got a couple more questions to ask. You're on their time, and be so grateful and so respectful and so humble to that casting director. Make them want to love you. But I can't stress enough that the audition is so important. Now, just to get back to that, there are audition classes. There are some great classes out there that are all about the audition. Okay, and I'm going to say that with the TV film department right now, with all of the co-star roles that are coming out, they're 1 and 2 lines, right? If you can't do 1 or 2 lines, get out of the business. There had to have been something in your audition that stopped them. But, I mean, I'm going to hope you guys as actors will agree with that. If Hark, who goes there? Peter Brady said, if you can't do that, we've got real trouble. So there's something in that audition process that you did wrong, that you didn't make the sale.
Can I just go? I want to respectfully disagree. I have to say that I think a co-star part is the hardest thing to audition for, and I think it's the hardest thing to get. I think that just because when you have to say Hark that's not enough for them to see, what you could really do. I think it's actually easier when you have a guest star and you have a lot to do and really to show them. So I think that in the audition, everything you do is a building for the next audition with that person. So if you're not the right size, you're not the right look, you're, whatever reason they don't pick you for that one, as long as when I call them and they say, yeah, he was fine, we went a different way, that's okay. Because they're going to remember you for the next time, bring you in. They get to have, they like you. I have casting people that like a certain person a lot, and they'll bring them in a lot, and they'll eventually get something, but you have to keep up the energy, and you have to know that everything you do is building for your career, every single thing. And one thing that I always tell my people, a lot of people don't do this, is send thank you notes. I once sent a thank you note to a casting director, and she called me and said, Lisa, I have never gotten a thank you note. I've been in the business for 20 years. I can't believe, thank you so much. And I said, if you like the note, you're going to love the wine that's coming, But so I tell my people, send thank you notes. If you can't do it for every audition, maybe you feel that's too much, then do it for the callback, right? And if you don't know what the address is, bring the thank you note with you. And after you're done with it, give it to a receptionist. There, you've saved the stamp, but you've said thank you. And when you're saying thank you, it's not with your postcard. This is my advice to my people. Not your postcard, because all you're doing is PR yourself again. Well, you want to really say thank you, right? So a thank you note, but with a photo business card inside, so that they remember who you are, but they're saying thank you. I have had casting directors come out to my people at the callback but before they started and said, I just wanted to say thank you so much for that thank you note that you sent me. It really touched me. And so, that's the relationships you want to build with casting, because that's how you're going to work, regardless of how you did on one audition.
Real quick, I didn't want to be misunderstood. It's the audition, okay? And I'm not minimizing the part and I'm not minimizing the actor. It is that audition that is so important, because that's how you make your impression. And so I agree with that. It doesn't matter if you did good or bad. If you made a great impression with that casting director, that they'll say we went a different way, but yes, absolutely pitch that person again. We love them. That's what you develop for us. So that's to go back to the audition. That's how important it is. And what I was saying is it's not as important what that line is. It's as important how you audition and an impression you give of yourself.
It's the audition is part of the technique. So if you work on technique, you're going to understand the audition. Because some of us represent people commercially and theatrically, and some of us just represent in one area. When you go out for a commercial audition and that slate is completely different than the slate when you ask you for a slate for theatrical. A lot of times in theatrical, you go right into the role after you slate. Some actors don't know that, so they wait for the direction. Sometimes the casting director may think that you're green or new into the industry or whatever. It's okay. But those are steps that you need to learn. So you do need to work with whoever you're working with on your acting skills for your audition process. Because a lot of times you get thrown by the room. Or you as an actor go in there and cast the role yourself. That's not your job. Your job is not to go into the room and say, oh my God, these people are older than I am. Oh, they're going older. Oh, all these things that go into your head. You can't. The preparation of the audition is so important because it's your moment in time. In a commercial, a lot of times you go to the place and you meet friends you haven't seen in a long time. You're talking about their Christmas vacation, their baby pictures, and all this other stuff. You walk into the room, you're not clear. So those are the moments you have to really get clear and focus about going into that room. So also you know when to leave the room. There's nothing worse than somebody lingering into a space when we have to move. And casting doesn't have the time for that. They don't want to find out about the dress you got for Christmas or this or that or the other. They don't. A writer told me one time that in a call back for a very popular show, the girl came in, they loved her dress, the producer said, oh my God, that's a really cute dress. She went on and on and on to talk about the material, the grandma who gave it to her, blah, 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 blah. She was going to book the job. They said, don't bring her in the rest of the season. Oh God, she took so much of our time. Those are the things that you need to know when to walk out. Walk in the character, walk out the character. Really learn the technique of auditioning, because that's going to book the job, no matter how big or small it is.
I had an actress say to me once about the audition process. We were just talking, and she said, I will not talk to another actor before my audition. I'm going to be in the corner, going over my lines, getting myself prepared. I'll gladly talk to you after my audition and before yours, but not before mine. Let's talk about auditioning for you. So you have clients coming in. Obviously, you get these hundreds of submissions every week, as you've indicated. You get videotapes of people dancing. Do you want them to be prepared in some way to act for you in your offices? And if so, what should they have prepared? Is it something short and comedic, something dramatic, something commercial? What works best in that atmosphere when you're sort of on the fence about whether you're going to represent them or not?
Okay.
All right. For the first meeting I take with somebody, I usually don't want to hear them read. I usually just want to spend a little bit of time to get to know them, find out what brought them to Los Angeles, how long they've been in the business, what kind of work they've done in the past, and just kind of really get a sense of their personality, because that's what's going to sell them in the audition room. After the initial meeting and after I discuss it with the other agent, if we want to bring them back in, then we'll ask them to read. But the first meeting for me really is completely about personality, seeing if I get along with them. Because if I can get along with them, then I'm pretty sure that they're going to get along with some of my other casting directors, with the other agent. And so I take my time, and I do like to spend a good 20, 25 minutes with each person that I bring in and really get to know them, really get to know what's going on inside of them, figure out what it is that I can do for them, what it is that they need, and just kind of work together in that way. So I'm not too concerned about reading or being too prepared. I like people just to be natural, be themselves, and we kind of get to know each other. Because it's also, I'm being interviewed also. You got to remember that as an actor, you've got to come in and you've got to find the agent that you also get along with. So it kind of goes in both directions. So I also try to make it be, comfortable for them and not feel nervous, because we already know you're nervous coming in. So I try to break the ice and maybe, talk a little bit about myself through the conversation, see if we've got some things in common, and then just kind of go from there.
I'm just going to, I agree. I always take an appointment and just talk to people one-on-one. Don't even actually go into a lot of the aspects of their trade in that first meeting, because remember, at the end of the day, a lot of the jobs that you'll be working on, people are going to spend a lot of time with you, and it's really important that the agent kind of understands your personality, and that's kind of the first sign, good or bad, of how you're maybe potentially going to be on a set or at a rehearsal, or some tours go for a year. And you have to kind of understand the personality of someone you're going to work with, and where they're at, just in their head, before you want to move on to the next step, which is, really understanding for me particularly, their skills as a dancer. If someone's in front of me as a dancer, I can already tell from maybe 2 things on their resume what type of dancer they are, from the school they went to or the awards they would have gotten. So for me, it's very important to have that first one-on-one meeting where it's more of getting to know them first as a person.
Anybody else?
I'm so different.
Different is good.
I don't know. If you're coming in for a commercial audition for me, I'm terrible. I'm like, come on in, do the cold read, let's go. When I'm looking, I can tell right away if we'll work well together. I can tell right away if you're going to book commercials. I'm just at that point right now that I just can tell. And so I'm just looking for certain things. The cold read I make you do is so easy. It's so easy. But people get really nervous. I've had people almost faint in the office. And they say things. And here, I'm going to tell you my cold read, and you'll all know if you ever come in. My cold read is, this is from, I guess I won't say his name. He's retired now, wonderful casting director. This was one of his parts. It was treating me like a person, not just a patient. That's a good idea. That's it. That's the cold read. Now you all know. And so, but people can't do it. Some people can't do it, and they say the wrong things. Like, I love when they say, treating me like a patient, not like a person. That's a great idea. I love that. And then they don't correct themselves. And then I'm thinking, well, wait, if you're in the audition and you don't correct yourself, well, you're not going to get the part. And so I'm looking for that. I'm also looking for, are you friendly? Do you work the room? And one casting director, one friend of mine, said this best. Your audition is like you've been invited to a dinner party and you'd like to get invited again. That's how you do it. And I think that's wonderful, because if they like you, if they like me, they'll call in my people. If they like you, they'll call you back again. And I think that's what we're looking for. So I'm looking, when I meet you, do I like you? That's what I'm looking for. And in fact, I actually have learned by my own mistakes. I met one person once, and he gave off a really nasty, when you met him, he was kind of mean. And I thought, wow, he's mean. But then if you get to know him, he was the sweetest, most wonderful person in the world. And so I was like, all right, I'll work with you. And then casting would call me after they'd meet him and say, he's so mean. I don't like him. He's so mean. And I'd be like, no, he's really nice. But they won't take the time to find out that you're nice. So I know that my first impression is actually the exact impression casting is going to have. So I go with my gut. And when I'm looking at someone for theatrical, I'm looking at your film work, and I'm seeing, again, do you have that film technique? Do I find that I feel you're talented? I want people that I'm a fan of. Then I'll rep you theatrically, because I want to pitch people that I'm a fan of. So that's how I do it. And I actually usually take my people on commercially first, and I get to know you. And do you go to your auditions? Are you reliable? Are you a nice person? What does casting feel about you? And then I'll consider taking you for theatrical. So that's how I get to know my people.
Well, you're not that different. Because we work very similar, very, very similar. So the process is very much alike. A lot of times when the actor's in developmental and they're not in the union yet, and we want to open that door and help them achieve that goal, we want to help them commercially, because that's the best training in a lot of ways. And we learned from you. from the responsibility, the taking action of the pictures, the investment of the career. And then we can possibly see you for theatrical. Now, if we see somebody more seasoned in the theatrical area, then we do give them that cold reading. We do look at their presentation, their body of work, and that sort of stuff. So we are kind of tough. We do give you a really hefty cold reading. It is for a Nickelodeon show, but nobody knows that. And sometimes it's the trickiest thing because you have to make it work. And a lot of times that's where we learn your habits and what you need to learn to audition to get those bigger, better roles. But that's, in a nutshell, that's it. We have to see your personality and your reading ability of interpreting a character.
I'm the different one. See? Generally.
Oh, you're different, all right.
Oh, baby. See? Here it goes. God will get you for that. You know, because I'm not really a development agency and my theatrical division is very small, and generally most of my clients have management, I'm going to expect that the manager did that homework. And I think everybody has gone and said the same thing. It's about the sale, okay? People don't buy from whom they don't like. Everybody's going to agree that we have to like our client. Everybody's going to agree that when you go to that casting director, they have to like you. They have to like you. There's just something about it. If they don't like you, you're mean, you're caustic in the room, you know, whatever may happen. So, you know, I'm going to expect when you come in, you know, my interview's the same as Chaim, I guess everybody else. I want to like you. I want you to get to know me, know what makes Gar tick, because you have to motivate me. As much as I have to motivate you, we have to have some kind of a relationship. And people come into my office, it's very zen. I've got a bunch of cars there. I'm an old car salesman. It's all about breaking the ice the first time. I've got to make you laugh. I want to see what your personality is. When I first started in the business, we had our Monday night meetings, and we'd have the poor actor sitting under the spotlight, and the four of us would be sitting there, and this actor was so dry, and we knew we couldn't engage, and the other agent and I would just start engaging ourselves. We'd try very desperately to get you going, and now we'd start entertaining ourselves. You know, and that was the kiss of death. And, you know, how many times have you been in a meeting with an agent? You know, well, thank you very much. You know, call us tomorrow after 2 and we'll have an answer for you. You know, death. It's all done. You didn't do something in that same audition. If we're going to look at you in a theatrical basis, again, that's when I'm going to maybe ask for a tape or a reel or a YouTube. You know, if I'm on the fence. Usually I'm going to kind of know, because again, the manager referred you or a casting director referred you. But when you take that precious appointment with an agent, you got to be on, because that's the same audition as if you're going in for a casting director. Very important.
Well, there's a question from Los Angeles, and it's similar to a question from Florida. And with your permission, I'd like to just start answering it. And then if anyone wants to add anything, it's about termination of the agency relationship. And I don't want to obviously embarrass the agents, but we get a lot of calls like that at the agency department. The advice we give is always the same. If you feel that the relationship with the agent is lacking in some way or is not working, I would urge you, I think everybody in the agency department would urge you to try to book an appointment with the agent and go in and talk about what you want your career arc to be and where you feel that there's a breakdown in communication. I think it's a very small, Los Angeles is a very small town, despite the fact that there are 65,000 of you. These agents talk to each other, casting directors talk to each other, and stuff gets around. So if you have the opportunity to sit your agent down and say, this is where I'd like my career to go, do you think that you can go with me? Oftentimes that works. Even if it's in the short run, it works. If it doesn't work, remember that this is a person who you could be seeing again as little as 3 or 4 years down the line. So don't burn that bridge if you can avoid it. So before you terminate, have that discussion with your agent. The agent will do the same degree of respect in most instances. So I just wanted to say that before I turn it over in case it was an embarrassing question for you guys. But that's our advice.
No, and it is a small industry, you know, and everybody knows each other. And there's nothing worse when you badmouth somebody to a manager or somebody else that likes you and works with you and so on and so forth. It'll come back to you. And you don't want that. You don't want to close any doors either. I've been in business for myself now, going on 7 years this year. It'll be my 7th year. And that's not a long time. But yet, I'm beginning to see a lot of people that dropped me a while ago, sent me letters of saying, hey, by the way, when I left, you said, you always have an open door and this and that. I did tell him that. So to some of them, I may honor that welcoming back. Why not? Because I sort of know the person, I know what they did, and I know where they've been now. We're all human beings. We all have a dream. A lot of times it's bigger than it really is, or this or that. You have to be clear with what you want so you can achieve that. So be careful what you say when you're a little upset and emotional about a situation that didn't happen, it didn't help you. It may come back to haunt you. So with that said and done, 7 years is not a long time. I think people say that in this business, you need 10 years to really start to see some progress, and then so on and so forth. So be careful how you write that letter or how you talk to that person when you want to terminate a relationship.
It's a real tough question. When I first started in the industry at a very large agency, every 90 days we had to do a drop. And of course I started as an assistant, and of course they dumped that on the assistant. And the letters go out, and the agents were chicken, and the assistant gets the call. But I kind of liken it to if you're at a regular job, and you as the actor or the employee may not be doing your job very, very well, and the boss has to come to you and say, listen, we're going to have to terminate, and you really didn't even get any warning. Not that, hey, you know what, listen, for the last 90 days your performance hasn't been up to par. We hired you for a reason. You were great when you interviewed. We brought you in, but it's slipping. Let's talk about this and let's see if we can make that work. You'd love that on your job, wouldn't you? Instead of the boss walking in one day and saying, well, you know what, it's been real and it's been fun, but it hasn't been real fun. Here's your check, goodbye. As agents, and especially those of us, I think all of us have our own businesses here, we don't earn unless we book. So by taking you on, we saw either you did something great, we saw a light there that says, okay, we've got a relationship, we'll make money, we'll help them further their dreams. I can't agree with Jaime anymore about saying sometimes you dream a little bigger than maybe you should, but that's not bad. We like that. We just want to know about it. When you agent hop, we always know. Are you currently represented? Nobody's been in an agent interview before. Are you currently represented? How long were you with your former agency? 3 months. Flag waves, we got an agent hopper here. We're not going to make this person happy no matter what we do. Okay? And I think, again, for all of us in the level that we all are as agents, and again, I think you've got probably the most respected agents here because we always try to give back to the community. It's not necessarily us when it's not working. We've all talked about, do we have the proper tools? Are you in class? Are you showing up? Do we have the right pictures? Are you providing us with what we need? And I know, Zino, sometimes, you want to see your agent, oh, I need to get an appointment, and I need to get an appointment, and I need to get an appointment, I need to get an appointment. You're calling, and finally we just kind of get tired of the appointment. It's about how you present that information to us also. I had a client call me, I think on Friday at about 4:30, and I have to say calling me after 4 is death because that's pitch time. All right, I'm pitching after 4 o'clock theatrically. And it's been 3 months and I haven't gotten out, and it's this and it's that and it's this and it's that, and boy, was that the wrong time for me because I said, you know what, if you're not happy, why don't we call the relationship now? And but I didn't mean that, and I didn't mean that. Be careful. We want to be as treated with kid gloves as you guys do too. All right, I have a concern. I mean, Zino speaks in the most wonderful euphemisms in the world. I have a concern. It's not exactly the way I was thinking. Can we sit down and see if we can redirect the path? We loved each other when we started. I love you. You're great. I know you love me, blah, blah, blah. What can we do to get this back on the same path? That's proactive and creates a positive environment. If you come in with gloves on, I can guarantee you every one of us is going to put the gloves on back, and you'll wind up with no representation. You'll wind up with an adversarial relationship, which you don't want.
Well, we're coming to the end of our first live stream event. So I want to ask,
in 3D.
In closing,
3D.
Did you guys get your glasses when you came in? I want to ask in closing a question that I ask at the end of every talent agency seminar that I've ever done, and agents hate it, so I apologize in advance. But what makes you stand out from the agent sitting next to you? Agents hate it, members love it.
We have to start with a different one, the baby agent first. This is her first time.
She's going to pick on me.
I guess what makes me stand out, I've been a licensed and bonded talent agent since 2008. So I am the baby agent. I have been an attorney for 13 years. So in some ways I'm a baby. In some ways I'm the senior. I'm sure my age is senior at this line as well. Though, but I think what I bring is a love of the business, a love of my clients. I work so hard. And someone said on the panel that they're working from dawn till dusk. I work till 10 at night every single night. Of course, we all do. And I love this. And there's nothing like calling someone and saying, like yesterday, I got to call one of my guys who goes out maybe 6 times a day, and I don't know how he even holds down his day job, but he does it. And I got to call him and said, and my exact words were, "My friend, you just booked a National Pizza Hut." And that was just amazing. That stuff is amazing to me, and I think I get as excited as you guys get. And when you're up for the callback, I get so excited with you, and we get you up to network. I'm so excited with you, and so I think what I bring to it is just this, because maybe it's new to me, I guess, in a way that I'm so excited about it. But I have some of my background really quick was I went to Beverly High, and I actually went to school with a lot of the people that are actually, really working in the agents in the industry right now. And so I'm not afraid of them because I know them really well. And, I've dated some of them, and I know them, and some of the people that are executive producers are my best friends. Can I tell? Because I'll tell you. But I mean, so when I can tell my people, when you get into the room, tell that Lisa Berman's your agent. They will crack up, So these are my friends, and so I can bring that to my clients to put you on that level to know, don't be scared when you're in there. Don't be frightened, because they're just, someone else's friends from high school. Right? So that's what I bring.
Well, for me, it's probably the fact that I was on the board of directors for AFTRA, that I covered a lot of committees through Screen Actors Guild, that I went to fight for all of us during the big commercial strike. I was on the negotiating team then. I was on the negotiating team before that. So my knowledge about the business is huge. And you would think I would be jaded by now, but I'm not. I'm still full of passion, enthusiasm, vitality, and I studied acting for years and years and years and years with a really good teacher who inspired me a lot, and I pass that on to my actors, and I pass it on not to live through their dreams or anything like that, because I did really well. I'm pensioned through SAG, so I want you guys to have the same opportunities that I had, the same desire, and achieve those goals. So the enthusiasm, I think it's number one.
He was the first kid in the Partridge Family. Let's just get that all straight now. No.
Thank you.
No, just a couple of things. One is, to be associated with everybody here is an honor for me, because I think in the back of everybody's mind, maybe in California, and this could be even across the United States, we all have this little inkling about the entertainment business. The drug is the sale. The drug is the success of the audition, the callback, and the booking, and sharing that joy. And it may sound so simple, but it used to be when somebody bought a brand new car or a used car, it was their car, and no matter how many you sold as a salesman, you just had to go out there and share that joy with that person. And I think, maybe it's agent-client suicide. I get a little close with my clients because I absolutely love them. I respect them so much that you'll bartend, you'll wait tables, you'll personal train, you'll babysit, you'll work until 3 in the morning. You'll do anything, whatever it takes to achieve your dream. I have so much passion for this business because I get to meet people like yourselves that say, I'm going to do this. Okay, and if we can walk with you and hold your hand along the way and find some success, and just one day, you call and say, thanks, this is just a great ride. That's what does it for me. I mean, it's that interaction with you guys that are so committed. And again, it's the drug of the sale, and I think that's what puts me a little bit out different, is I've had a career in sales all my life and have been successful at it.
I think for me, it's also the passion. I love what I do. And I'm completely self-taught in this. I've never pursued an acting career before opening up my own agency. I had never even worked at an agency before. So over the last 12, 13 years, I've taught myself everything.
30 years.
35 years.
Lord.
Over the last 50 years.
This is Ronald Reagan.
All right, you're all old. We get it. Move on.
So I think it's my passion and love of what I do, because I built my agency from the ground up, not knowing anything that was going on. We just had this crazy idea. I was in the club promoting world, and we would always get phone calls the day after we threw a party, a director's assistant. Oh, we saw somebody at your club. Could we get their phone number? So we just thought, well, how are we going to make money at this instead of just giving people away for free? And someone said, oh, you become an agent. And I was like, well, what's an agent? Well, you call this place called the Screen Actors Guild. So I came down, and we filled out some paperwork, and we knew enough people, and we got the proper letters and referrals. And we opened up our doors, and it's become the love of my life, the passion. I love the people that I work with, and I really get to know them, and they become a really close part of my family. And so maybe that's what sets me apart a little bit, the drive that I started from having no idea what I was doing, and now 50 years later, here I am speaking to all of you.
I was out there. I was auditioning, so I feel I was out there. I was being rejected. I had to lose weight. I was too short. I wasn't pretty enough. So being on the other side of it, I feel like I have a lot of not just empathy, but I always want to encourage people to keep trying. And I always understand where they're coming from when they get frustrated. And I always want to keep helping them discover what's lying in the path in front of them. And it could be something completely different than where they are right now. Like for me, it ended up being a talent agent, and it could be, exactly where they want to go. But I always work with people, and I feel like that's an important part of our agency. I don't throw them outside because they're having weight issues or they're not getting auditions. As long as they keep doing what we ask them to do and we work together as a team, then I understand. I've been there before, and I'm willing to work with them.
Thank you. Before I ask you, thank you.
You just got
oh yes.
the 12:05 time slot.
No, my ratings aren't good. Please ask. What? Could you? Oh, thank you. Please ask for the feedback forms online. So please fill those out. And in-house. Thank you. Before I ask you to join me in thanking our agents for coming out tonight, I just want to say that they've worked a very, very long day, and they came here out of the goodness of their hearts to help us impart some information and to kick off this series. Please allow them to escape. Let them go home to their families and have dinner. Allow them to go. Please join me in thanking all of our agents tonight. Thank you.